Hi, I'm Erick Meyenberg. This is my video installation, The Wheel Bears No Resemblance to a Leg. I'm a visual artist from Mexico City. I work mainly in video installations that are based on research projects. And within the working processes of these projects, I produce a lot of drawings, sketches, paintings, notes that you will see here at the show. This project was commissioned by the foundation Inside Casa Gallina in Mexico City. So I got the invitation around 2013 to work within a very specific neighborhood in Mexico City. And the idea was to work in a co-participative way through artistic dynamics with a social group. So I decided to work with this bunch of teenagers who play in a military marching band. So we did through a whole year, a year and a half, some sound experimentation, music experimentation, choreographic experimentation. We talked about history, about uniforms, costumes, architectural locations. So that's how the project started. I would say the major theme or topic of the video is how power as a greater machine that we can perceive but we can't see is moving around us, and it is in a way inoculated into the bodies. And that's why it was very important for me to use the body of a teenager who's just growing, changing, developing, and how these bodies are confronted against the order and the power of the military disciplines. Throughout the process of the project, many ideas came up to mind through different sketches and conceptual maps. And for me, architecture as a symbolical space, and how the bodies are inserted and bring meaning to these places was very important. So together with the kids, we chose 4 different locations. The first one is the school. That for me was thinking of this greater, bigger machine. It was the gear that could represent education. Then we chose 2 historical places or monuments. One was the monument to the Mexican Revolution that happened in 1910, but the monument was constructed around the 30s. And we chose the Plaza de Tlatelolco, a square where in 1968 university students were brutally murdered by the government and the army. And the final location or destination of the project was a shopping center in this neighborhood, which was actually absolutely chosen by all the teenagers. It was the reference center or for reunion within the neighborhood. So I thought it was important to include this, and also to think about capitalism within all this greater machine. This was a very unique experience for me. Actually, beforehand, I never worked with people as the subject of my artistic practice. Actually, when I got the invitation by the curator Osvaldo Sanchez, I told him that probably this was an error because I've never worked with people before. And I was completely terrified, but the experience was like so nice, so beautiful, and so chaotic at a time that I kept on working with people. And it's fascinating, but it's also very difficult to work with teenagers because, as I said before, like their state or the notion of being teenager is like this body in crisis, in the sense that it's changing, it's evolving, it's trying to look for like their own personalities. So trying to establish a project when the moods and emotions and interests are shifting every 5 seconds, it's kind of difficult, but in a way I really enjoyed it, and we established like a super nice relationship. The project has many layers, since I spent like a lot of time during this research process. So I tried to convey different parts or different bits and parts of all these layers into the physical experience of the spectator. So for me, it's important that the bodies of the spectators have like a first impact to the piece. And I truly believe that if this happens, if their bodies are affected by the piece, then all the political, historical, social meanings of the project can just pass through. So the idea was to create this panopticon, this bigger eye that's watching you, that's surrounding you. So the spectator has the opportunity to be in the middle of the screens, knowing that there's something else happening behind him, around him. So this gives like a very frightening, I could say, experience. And the idea was, as you said, like to create this immersive experience and just be right in the middle of the action of this bigger machine that's moving around you. There's a physical reaction that I really like, and this was in a way produced or intended with the placement of the screens. They are placed a little bit higher than the visual media that you normally hang a painting or a video or whatever. So this makes like a subtle reaction on the bodies of the spectators. They tend to tilt their heads a little bit up. And just this, even though you're not conscious, is like a gesture of submission in front of like this bigger machine. So this reaction of just stepping a bit backwards and tilting up the head for watching the videos, I think is like a direct actual communication, physical communication between the video installation and the bodies of the spectators. And this is very important for me because I don't think that video is something that you just project on any surface. It also affects the space where it is placed. So for me, these physical reactions are very important. Yes, I'm finishing a video I filmed during a residency in Mexico, in a place called Casa Wabi, where I worked with a traditional brass band from the south coast of Mexico. This band during the day work as gardeners in this residency program, and during the night they play in their communities. So I got fascinated between like both worlds, And I'm currently preparing some other projects that I will film this year. One is in Vienna with Romanian immigrants that also play traditional music on the streets.